Hey everyone in Birdland, it's time to jump into your non-breeding plumage, kick back with a few tasty invertebrates, and settle in for the next episode of Out There with the Birds with your hosts Ben Lizdas and Bill Thompson III. Out There with the Birds is supported by Kowa Sporting Optics, makers of the new ultra-compact 553 Prominar spotting scope. To learn more, visit sportingoptics.kowa-usa.com. Additional support comes from the Reader Rendezvous Birding Adventures from Birdwatchers Digest. Come birding with us in our favorite places. Learn more at birdwatchersdigest.com/RR. And now here they are, broadcasting from a mudflat near you, Bill and Ben.
All right, Ben Lizdas. We are at the American Birding Expo, the third annual one, but where are we?
We are out there with the birds. Always, Bill. Always out there with the birds. I think I forget what episode number we're at. 'Cause it's been a wild and crazy week for us here.
I know.
But
I think
really excited about this
something,
episode.
22, I'm not really sure. But we are inside with the birders.
We are. We actually, yeah, we're not out there with the birds. We're inside there with the birders.
We're in the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center, and we're recording into some fancy new little microphones and trying to see how doing a walk-around podcast goes. How's the expo been so far for you, Ben?
You know, it's been really great. You know, we knew we would have a lot of friends in the industry coming. We had advance notice and registration of people from around the world coming. You know, I'm talking about exhibitors, tour leaders, guides, lodge owners, people like James Adams from Pico Bonita, who's right in front of us right now. You might know him on some social media feeds like Facebook for some of his amazing photos of birds and reptiles from Honduras.
Right.
So that's who we're seeing here, but also all the great birders here in the Northeast, you know, and being in Philadelphia, I've met birders from New York, from D.C., from Baltimore, Massachusetts, you name it. And I think someone from Washington State flew all the way out to come to our expo. How about that?
I know, that's really cool. It's gratifying. And, you know, all the hard work that goes into producing an event like this, you get, you're kind of nervous right up until the ribbon's cut and, and it launches and it goes and people are happy. And the birding community here in the Philly area has really shown up this weekend.
And we're talking about people with levels of interest of where can I learn more about bird houses and feeding birds to, you know, show me to the Columbia booth so I can book a flight to South America or have a birding experience in Uganda or even someplace as more domestic, but maybe just as wild, West Virginia.
I know. Here's our friends from New River. They're here promoting the New River Birding and Nature Festival. No, it's been really cool, and you know, all my sort of angsty nerves about would people show up. I had some, you know, nightmares about like being.
I remember, Wednesday night, you know, Thursday night. Okay, you know.
But you know what? Those were unfounded, thankfully, and I think tons of people coming here. Pete Dunn told me in the Cape May Bird Observatory booth where they're selling optics, he told me that they have had a ton of first-time people buying their first optics, and that was one of our goals with the expo.
Yes, not necessarily first-time people buying their first-time optics, but first-time people just coming and showing up at the door and trying to understand a little bit more about birding and what we do. And you know, we have a booth here dedicated entirely to those people who are just trying to find that on-ramp into birding. You know, maybe they weren't fortunate enough to have a birding mentor in their lives or someone they can go to say, "Show me how to bird. What's this all about?"
Right.
We've got people here, kind of, you know, facilitating that experience or the introduction to that experience, which was another one of the goals that we had here.
Yeah, and our marketing outreach that we had, we were trying very, very hard to let people know who had heard of bird watching or birding before but had never tried it. We wanted to make sure that they felt welcome to come in here. You didn't have to already be a birder in order to come to the expo, and boy, that's really worked well. I've in our two Get Started booths, one for bird watching and one for bird feeding, we've really noticed a number of people coming up to get the free handouts and the free information, and we hope, of course, that those people will engage and become bird watchers and then eventually want to, you know, do other things like, I don't know, subscribe to a bird magazine or come to future expos or come on a reader rendezvous or something like that. So it's been super fun, and it's really, really great to be part of a gathering of the tribe at the expo. You know, like it really does feel like sort of reunion / community gathering thing.
You know, birding is for so many people an experience to be shared and to be had. And you know, it's certainly, you see outfits here like Loa boots. You know, for the first time we've gotten a footwear manufacturer here, paying attention to the birding market. And of course, you've got all the optics companies and camera companies as well. But when you look at the distribution of vendors here, there's a lot of people here who are really promoting a birdwatching experience through destination, travel, birding festivals here within the United States. It's not all exotic places. We're going by the Columbia booth right now, and boy, is that ever impressive. They have really, put some effort into helping expose, birders to all that country has to offer, and that's exciting to see.
Yeah, it's neat to see countries coming as a cohesive brand to a place like this, because they can easily get, they have a greater impact with all their tour operators under one flag and in one stand, and it kind of presents a unified front, and everybody gets to talk to customers that come along. And one other thing I wanted to mention about today is being Family Day. Is I've already seen 3 or 4 families with young kids coming through, and man, that gives you a real glimmer of hope for the future. That once all of us who are sort of middle-aged or approaching it are, gone, that we're hoping that there's another generation coming forward to carry the flag for birds and conservation.
It's exciting to see, parents kind of bringing their kids in and sharing their passion with that younger generation, for sure.
Ben, of all the places here that you could go, if you could pick one right now, where would you go?
That's a really good question. You have access to all these, vendors and information about their places. If I could go to one of the places here, where would it go? It's kind of like asking me what my favorite bird is.
Or which of your kids is your favorite.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I would say that some of the people coming from more far-flung destinations, Australia, that really, really appeals to me. Never been there before. Bucket list trip for sure. We've got folks from Anala Nature Tours here, Bellbird Birding, and then, of course, Rybill Birding Tours out of New Zealand, all offering great experiences if you're willing to go for that long plane ride. But then again, if you want another great birding experience, you don't want to go on an airplane for quite as long, the Rio Grande Valley Birding Festival, which has its fair share of exotic birding opportunities that you don't even need a passport for.
No. Yeah, I second that. I think I would love to go to Australia. It's been top of my bucket list for a long time. I also am looking forward to a trip I'm taking to Taiwan here in about a month. I was invited over there to be part of a birding competition, which is interesting. It seems like there's a little bit of a trend now among destinations putting on birding competitions, which is kind of funny, because you usually think if you want to be a competitor in something, you need to be good at it. I've never seen any of the birds that we'll be seeing in Taiwan on this birding competition. So it's going to be it's kind of funny.
Competition,
it's like,
with a small C.
It's like saying, here, go play ice hockey. You've never put on ice skates. But I'm hoping some of my tools as a birder will be good. Now we're here in front of the array of spotting scopes, looking out over. It's not such a pristine nature scene out here. It's the kind of the parking lot of the Expo Center. But it's a gorgeous day. Oh my gosh, I wish we had a domed stadium here and we could open the roof and everybody could be birding and watching stuff fly over.
Yeah, our friends from Cape May Bird Observatory, really strong partner for the expo in terms of talking about it with their membership and the folks in the New Jersey area. And of course, they're doing great work there, both on the conservation and doing a lot more research projects. I was talking with David Lupuma while he was here, and Pete Dunn, about how they're really going to be diving into some more research-oriented work. David is really taking the charge in an initiative bringing bird observatories together from around the world.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. They're having the world's observatories flock together. It's the International Bird Observatory Conference. That's going to be cool, man. It's going to be the people who are out there doing the research, helping to formulate the policy for the future of bird conservation, and probably public outreach for birders too.
And I think one thing that is really fantastic for people who are just getting into birding, coming into an event like this, they get a chance to see to what extent there's a global birding community. It's not just us wacky North Americans going out and doing things. It's not something that's just, what we do here, but you realize there are people from all over the world that sharing an interest in birds. And granted, they're all different birds, different habitats, and they do it in different ways, and it's a real fantastic way to get a slice of that coming to an event like this.
Thinking about getting a slice of something, next door is the Walker Stalker convention.
So a whole other cultural endeavor going on there.
And if you identify people by their field marks, in many cases, the Walker Stalker people are wearing black.
So wait. I think you need to back up a little bit. Walker Stalker. That just sounds like two words that rhyme.
Right. It is. It's actually for fans of the TV show The Walking Dead.
So they had like 9 seasons. An incredibly popular television show. I can't say I've ever seen one before.
I've seen it, and it's interesting. It's it's for people who are murdering flesh-eating zombies. So we're yesterday, as we were setting up and they were opening, there was a huge line of people out there, and some of the exhibitors for the Birding Expo said, "Wow, you've got a lot of people here, Bill." And I said, "Are you sure? Did you check their field marks carefully? Because look, a couple of them have fake knives coming out of their heads and
baseball bats wrapped in barbed wire.
Right.
These are just props.
Samurai swords embedded in their chest cavities, random legs and arms around." So
it's not a typical birding festival scene, but once again, adds to the flavor and the cultural diversity that you're going to see when you get masses of people in a place from a major metropolitan area coming together for, birders aren't the only people who pursue their quirky interests with passion, are they?
I know. And, the funny thing is I noticed some people walking by yesterday seeing the sign for the Birding Expo. They were at Walker Stalker attendees, and they went, "Birding? Oh, that's so weird."
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm sure it's it's just all a matter of your perspective. But we were out the other night having dinner at a restaurant, and the Walker Stalker show crew came in. Folks running the Fan Fest next door, and I talked to them and struck up a friendship with the gal who's the lead sort of public interface person, and we've been exchanging every morning. We've been exchanging passes. So a few of their staffers and folks have come over to the Birding Expo, and a few of our folks have gone next door to see.
And it goes beyond staffers. I actually had some of the Walker Stalker VIP attendees come in our door today and sign up to check out and see what birding was all about. So maybe there's some cross promotional opportunities there.
Yeah, sure. And we have a sign out front that says "Birders this way, zombies this way." They have a sign at their ticket kiosk that says "No birds here. Go to Hall D." But if there was a zombie bird, what would it be?
Oh, I think you'd be looking at a king vulture, maybe a condor.
Okay, I was thinking maybe like an oil bird. In the caves down there.
See, I think it's got to be flesh-eating, preferably one maybe that's been extinct already, coming back from extinction. So maybe condor kind of qualifies.
Right, Triceratops, Archaeopteryx, something like that. So I also want to thank all of our sponsors for the expo, and I'm not going to list them here because that would just be a list of names. We had so much support, and really this is a dream I've had to do this expo for a long time, and it's finally come to fruition. Moving it over here to Philadelphia from Columbus, Ohio, seems to have been a really good thing to do, and I'm just so happy and relieved and gratified that all these people from all over the world have shown up to hang out with us for a weekend.
And really a lot of great local organizations, Audubon, Pennsylvania here, Eva here from Hog Island in Maine. We had a reader rendezvous there. It was great to go out and have dinner with her last night.
Our friends from the American Birding Association are here too. They're promoting their shade-grown coffee, which is bird-friendly. And they have a representative here from the Thanksgiving Coffee Company, I believe it is, who they're giving out little sample cups, tasty stuff. Makes you feel good.
I love stuff like that because it's a way that you can sort of be proactive in birding conservation by doing the things that you do just every day. Having a cup of coffee and saving birds. Okay, are you ready for a little podcast confusion crossover here?
Yes.
Because we also come across some other podcast celebrities around here.
Yes, we do.
Yes. So everyone out there with the birds land, can you recognize this voice?
Hello, Ben and Bill. It's great to be here at the American Birding Expo.
Nate Swick from
the American Birding Podcast. Nate,
that's right.
Good to see you. How's it going?
It's going well. It's been fun to be here. One of the fun things about being in a place like this is just to see so many people in the birding community and the birding industry. It's been really, really fun to touch base with people that I know only online and people who I, have not seen in years. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah, man. And I got to give you a sympathy shout out for your cards.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been a rough season.
It's been not as rough as the Pirates for the Pirates fans.
It's been up and down.
Oh, man. So we can commiserate on that.
Absolutely.
I mean, wish we had a couple more days here to just hang and go birding and, have a compensatory beer or two.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we can put our arms around each other and say, wait till next year.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I'm not looking forward to next year either, to be completely honest. Brutally honest about it. Yeah.
Well, hey, you guys do such great work with the American Birding Podcast.
Oh, thanks.
And I have had several people here this weekend say, "Hey, I heard you on the podcast with
Yeah,
Nate."
no, I've had people recognize me by my voice, which is something that's never happened to me before. So
that's very cool.
So right now, are we experiencing a potential hybridization?
We are.
Yeah, potential. We'll see how it goes down the line.
I think it
we
might
have
the
to,
American
more
Birding
research is
Expo
required.
podcast out there something.
Yeah, American Birding. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
We'll have to sit with it. Yeah,
Birding out there with the Americans
like it.
podcast.
Yeah,
Something.
Yeah, it's good.
Hey, you guys have gotten a lot of buzz for the coffee.
Yeah.
And the coffee's given people a lot of buzz.
Coffee's great. Yeah,
it's
both.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's tasty. Check out the shade-grown coffee from the American Birding Association. You guys sell it right on your site.
Well,
it's good stuff. You can
Indiana
feel
North
good
Slash
while
Coffee.
you're drinking a good cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
Another reason to attend events like this, get to meet famous, well-known birding celebrities like Nate Swick. Sit down, have a cup of coffee with them.
On the comfy couches in the ABA booth.
Very small cup of coffee. Yeah.
What I want to know is, as the ABA grows and expands, are these going to become fold-out couches?
We'll see. Maybe a sectional
Yeah,
next year.
I like
Yeah,
it.
it'd be nice.
I like it. Okay. Nate, good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Good luck
yeah.
with the podcast.
Thanks, man.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's talking with friends and all these movers and shakers around here.
Yeah.
People like Alvaro Jaramillo.
Yeah, Alvaro. Hey, man.
Yes, hello.
Take us back to an early podcast, on a different podcast, the This Birding Life podcast, and your story about Rapa Nui.
Well, it's funny. I'm actually even wearing a Rapa Nui shirt.
Nice.
Because I always think about that podcast.
That
One
was
of the
so
early
fun,
ones.
wasn't it? It was an early one.
It was fun.
We were just talking after a long day of birding, a long
Yeah.
night with a few gallos, I think maybe.
Yeah, Gallos, Cerveza of Guatemala.
Yeah, where were we in Guatemala? Do you remember?
Where were we in Copan or something?
I think maybe it was Copan.
I don't know.
That was so fun. I just remember I barely knew what I was doing, and we recorded
Yeah.
the thing, and you just mesmerized me with this story. And as you kept talking and talking, and your voice kind of got softer
Yeah.
and softer, and it was so
That's
vivid.
what I do.
The story. You hypnotized
I
people.
hypnotized. Do you remember that your wallet was gone later?
No.
No? Okay. Do you remember when you walked around and acted like a chicken? You don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I don't remember that. But then later that night, you were in your room and you turned into Krusty the Clown, right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, we should do one on that one day. Krusty
We
the
really
Clown.
a whole podcast just as
Yeah,
Krusty
right.
the Clown.
On the concept of
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I want to talk to you about just one quick thing. Birds and wine. I think you were
Yeah.
doing those tours to Chile
Before anybody else.
before it was cool.
Yeah.
But now it's cool. So tell me, when you go on one of those things,
Right.
how many birds, how much wine?
That's a good question. It's probably like 2/3 birds, 1/3 wine. If we
Nice.
have days when we just eat, wake up late, eat, go wine tasting, and we don't really do much birding.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other days that we do basically a regular birding day,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the end of the evening we just have a little wine, but not a full tasting. And so,
Right.
so we sort of mix it in a way that is not detrimental to the other aspect of the trip. As you know, birds, you got to get up early.
Right.
And wine, you don't.
So what's different about Chilean wine?
What's different? Well, one of the things about that trip is we go to the Chilean wine region, then the Argentine wine region. And what's really cool is you have two cultures and two ways of making wine in two different ecological zones. Like Argentina really is like a desert, while Chile is really a Mediterranean climate, the classic wine climate. So the contrast of seeing all that and different types of wines and how they do it, how they even market the wine, and each side has its own different kinds of birds. You're crossing
Right.
the Andes.
Right.
It's pretty amazing, actually. So to put it all together, the whole concept of terroir, right, the land where the grapes are from, becomes really vivid when you're seeing that through birds. And
Yeah.
you say, oh, wow, Chilean mockingbird on this side, Patagonian mockingbird on that side,
That's so
and
cool.
this endemic on that side and another endemic on that side. It's great, yeah.
So if people want to learn more about what you do with your birds and wine tours,
Yeah.
and where can they find that out?
alvarosadventures.com, ALVARO. And then
All right, man.
adventures.com, and, just drop me a line and I can, tell you about other things and all the other things we did that evening. Talking about Krusty the Clown.
No, let's not. I don't remember any of it. Alvaro, always great to see you, man. Good luck. And one of these times I want to come along and carry your scope for you on one of your tours. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
And your wine bottles.
My wine bottles, yeah. But Yeah, that's much heavier.
Thanks, man.
You could close your eyes and you could hear all the different accents and languages being spoken here.
Tanya, hey, it's Bill and Ben from Out There with the Birds podcast.
How are you?
We're good. So
That's good.
Tell everybody who's listening where you're from and what you're doing and who you are and all that.
Okay. My name's Tanya and I'm from Inala Nature Tours. I live in Australia, obviously, from the accent. I actually live in Tasmania, a little island off the bottom of Tasmania. So we run nature tours or wildlife tours around Australia. Big birding component in that. We deal with a lot of bird watchers. And we also run the background company for a lot of international birding companies that come and stay. So, yeah, it keeps us really busy.
Have you enjoyed the expo this year?
Oh, I've loved it. Really, really good. I'm really pleased I came.
And you've been to a couple of others with us.
I have, yeah, but this is the biggest and best yet. No, really, we're already booked for the next one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We love having you here, not just for your accent, but for your
But
charm
it helps,
too.
right?
It definitely helps. So if people want to learn more about Inala, where can they find that?
Yeah, it's probably our website, www.inalanaturettours.com.au. Yeah, come and visit us.
INALA.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
It's an Aboriginal word.
And what's it mean?
It means a peaceful place. It start off name of my property, which is 1,500 acres in Paradise. And, it just became, because it's nice and short and people remember it. So, yeah, Inala Nature Tours.
Well, Tanya, thank you so much for being here, coming all this way. It's always a thrill to see you. And we see each other twice a year in usually August and September.
Yes.
Let's keep it up, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
I've got a follow-up question. When people come to Australia, what is the thing that catches them by surprise most? Are they do you find that birders expect to see kangaroos everywhere? And are there kangaroos everywhere?
They do. They expect, I think, to see them down the main street of Sydney or Melbourne or something. Actually, you don't have to go too far out to see them. So, yeah. No, it does surprise them. The amount of wildlife, the amount of birds, the number of birds, yeah, I think exceeds expectations.
And Australia is a pretty big country or continent. How long does it take to... Do you ever have tours that you bird the entire continent, or is it... How much time do we need to book to see Australia proper?
Look, I'd say at least 2 to 3 weeks would be a good time, but don't expect to see it all. You can see snippets of it, but I reckon you need to make several trips to see it. So it's as big as the States. So, yeah, come lots of times.
We'll do it. Thanks, Tanya.
Good on you.
Good to see you.
So, Bill, let's hop on an airplane now and cross the aisles of the American Birding Expo and switch gears from Australia to
Africa,
a different continent, and where in particular?
Yeah, let's go to Uganda, I think. How about? So, tell us who you are.
My name is Angel Kirunda from Uganda, and I'm here representing Adventure Expeditions Uganda. I'm a bird guide, wildlife guide, and I'm happy to be here at the American Birding Expo.
Now, Angel, have you had a good time this year?
Oh yes, I have to say it's been big numbers, bigger than last year in Ohio, and I'm hoping for even bigger numbers today on the last day.
Good.
So very excited.
So when you are talking to people about birding in Uganda,
yes.
What are the sorts of things that you say to hook them on the idea of coming there?
Right, that's a good one. Now, of course, we're in Africa, which is kind of far, but good things come to those who go out,
That's right.
So we have some special species, endangered species, and species that are best seen in Uganda, like the shoebill stork.
Right.
So that's been a catchy one,
That's
well as the Albertine Rift endemics. So
Yeah, and so I know when I was in Uganda a few years ago,
yeah.
the shoebill is one of those birds that everybody wants to see because
Yes.
it's a special bird. It's an incredibly unique bird.
Huge.
Its bill is shaped like a shoe. It really
Yes.
is. And it's sort of a wading bird, sort of part stork, part crane, really,
Yes.
maybe. And we found them hard to find, and our guide, Herbert, was
Yes.
like really frustrated because it's sort of, I equate it a little bit to the roadrunner here in the United States. It's not a bird you can go looking for. You just have
Yes.
to happen upon them.
Exactly. one, it is known to be one of the birds that actually can stay in one place for a very long time. But that means if it moves and goes to another place, that means it's going to stay a very long time in that other place. You know what I mean? But in Entebbe, in the Mabamba swamp, there's been better chances because they tend to breed in that area.
Yep.
And so there's very good chances of seeing it there. But I have to say, you get there with the canoe, as you might have been.
Yes, dugouts.
Yes,
Yeah.
you have to go really deep into the swamp.
Yeah.
And every now and then, you might find it by the road heading to Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's what everybody kept saying. I can't believe how hard it is. But, man, when we saw that bird, it is a striking bird.
I know.
I wouldn't say it's beautiful necessarily, but it's in the eye of the beholder. But it's just an amazing-looking bird. If you're listening to this and you haven't ever seen an image of a shoebill, Google or do a search for shoebill or shoebill stork, some people say.
Prehistoric looking,
oh
huge
my gosh,
bird.
what an odd bird.
Almost like a 7-year-old child. Oh,
yeah,
maybe 6.
exactly. It looks, but it also kind of dinosaur-like too.
Yes.
Incredible bird. One of my favorite birds I've ever seen. So, if you'd like to invite somebody to come to Uganda, what's a typical length of a visit to Uganda for birding?
I think the best would be, coming from America, I'd say that you'd look at, at the very least 10 days, but something from 14 days to 21 days would give you a really good feel of what Uganda has to offer, because we have birds all over the country. Yeah. So for you to be able to travel that far, at least save 2 weeks for you to be able to see a good number.
What number of birds would we be talking about then?
You're probably going to see about anywhere from 300 to 400 species in one trip, maybe between 14 and 21 days.
Wow.
If you're lucky, of course.
Of course.
It is wildlife.
Plus there's other wildlife to see, right?
Plus there's other wildlife to see. The gorillas, chimpanzees, some sort of animals that you would find in Kenya, Tanzania, the big five, we all have that in Uganda. And all our birding spots tend to be in those national parks and conservation areas where you find all the other wildlife. So Uganda, I'd say, you'd have a very well-rounded experience. Community tourism, birding, like no other place, I have to say. The boat trips, the boat safaris, amazing stuff. So I'd encourage everybody, Philadelphia and the whole the U.S., to come down to Uganda. We'll be very happy to have you.
Oh, it's great. And I felt very welcome when I was there, and it's a wonderful country. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much, Bill, and thank you for being a good ambassador for Uganda.
You bet. Take care.
So we've got Brandon from Allen's Camera here, and the reason I want to talk to Brandon from Allen's Camera, where are you located in Pennsylvania?
Levittown, Pennsylvania.
All right.
Just not too far away.
No, we're under an hour from here, depending on traffic.
So this is your first experience with a bird watching event in the birding market. I'm curious to know what your first impression is of birders and the wacky things that we do, and the type of people that you're interacting with, the conversations you're having, and your overall assessment of your experience there.
Those are a lot of questions, Ben.
It's a lot of questions. I just want the rundown on my first impressions of birders.
We've been having a really good time. Really impressed with how passionate people are about what they love, and there's a lot of crossover between what we do in the photography business and obviously birders, now that the technology and all the equipment has reached a point where it's more accessible in terms of price point, and there's more product on the market to assist birders in capturing photographs of the birds. It's just kind of exploded for us, and probably the most fulfillment that I've derived out of this is also to just kind of see what the community is like. Tons of people that know each other. We've seen a bunch of familiar faces from the store, and have connected with a couple of vendors that are coordinating some relief efforts after the recent hurricanes down in the Caribbean, and just having an opportunity to be a part of that community, do some good, contribute, develop relationships. It's been really awesome, and we're really thankful to have been a part of it.
Well, it's great to have you here, and it's always nice. Birders love gear, and it's an activity that really you need to have some stuff to see the birds well, or to capture images. I've noticed a big trend with people birding with a camera. And have you noticed that as well? Like people coming in saying, "Hey, I want a camera that I can carry along. It needs to have a screen on it so I can look at the bird and identify it."
Well, it's huge, and I think that trend goes hand in hand with the advancements in technology. I mean, now lenses with longer reach are becoming smaller, lighter, more realistic for people to carry around with them, and more realistic to fit people's budgets. 10 years ago, a 600 millimeter lens couldn't be had for less than $10,000. Now we have some of these manufacturers making lenses that'll reach that far, that you know, for a few $100s can open it up to just a wider audience.
Right.
And that sort of is a natural fit for us because our store has always sort of been positioned as a big lens business.
Yeah.
We've always had a core customer with the wildlife photographer in general. So there's just a lot of natural synergies here. It's been really great.
Well, it's been great having you here. I'm so glad you've had a good show and look forward to seeing you again next year.
Thank you. Look forward to being a part of it.
Okay.
All right, Bill. So I think we're hitting cutoff time here. You know,
we're well past cutoff time.
I could walk around this place and talk to friends and visitors from far-flung places probably for another half an hour at least. But I think we're going to have to force ourselves to just shut off the tap. I want to go over and see some zombies.
Yeah, really?
Of course I want to go see some zombies. I don't have any zombies on my life list.
Okay. Well, we need to stop by the Houghton Mifflin booth first and get a field guide to the zombies, so we know what we're looking at, and then after that we can head on out and go do the get back here to the expo. Okay.
You know, I have a feeling by the end of the day today, Sunday, we'll be wrapping up. I'll fit
Just
right
look
in
in the
with
mirror.
zombies.
Look in the mirror and you'll be seeing a zombie. All right.
All right.
Hey Ben, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Take care.
Safe trails home.
That's all she wrote for this episode of Out There with the Birds. Special thanks to Koa, our optics sponsor. Learn more about their fine line of birding products at sportingoptics.koa-usa.com. We're also supported by the Reader Rendezvous Birding Adventures from Birdwatchers Digest. Your next birding adventure starts at birdwatchersdigest.com/rr. Until we meet again in 2 weeks, keep the wind at your back and your eyes to the skies, and we'll see you out there with the birds. Cheers!
Hang on.